Since the dawn of forgotten ages, the ancients whispered of a force hidden beneath the noise of ordinary life, a force that only the brave could awaken. They called it Hagane no Ishi, the iron will, a flame that refuses to die even when the world turns cold. Like steel forged in the deepest furnace, the spirit is shaped not by comfort, but by the relentless hammer of discipline and the roaring fire of purpose. Today, you stand at the edge of that same forge. You, the modern warrior, the seeker of strength, the one who refuses to bow before adversity. This path is not easy. It was never meant to be. But if your heart is steady and your resolve sharp, you will unlock the forbidden samurai technique to never give up. A way of life practiced only by those who understand that quitting is a scar upon the soul. So commit to this journey. Comment, "I rise." Subscribe, join this brotherhood and sisterhood of warriors, and thank you for being part of a community that sharpens itself through fire. Your spirit is the blade. Your discipline is the heat. The unyielding mind begins where ordinary strength ends, born in the quiet chambers of the spirit, where doubt and fear attempt to take root. The samurai understood that battles are first fought within, long before a blade is drawn or a challenge appears. Their inner furnace was not fueled by arrogance or blind confidence, but by an unwavering commitment to rise no matter how many times life tried to break them. In this furnace, every failure became fuel, every setback became a spark, and every struggle became a chance to refine the steel of their will. To build an unyielding mind is to accept that the world will push, bend, and strike you with unexpected blows. Yet you refuse to shatter. It means choosing discipline when comfort tempts you, choosing purpose when distractions whisper your name, choosing growth when excuses offer an easy escape. The samurai knew that the real enemy is not the difficulty itself, but the belief that difficulty means defeat. And so, they trained relentlessly, preparing their spirit to withstand storms that would make ordinary people crumble. Their furnace burned with intent, and that intent became unbreakable. Strength of mind is not a gift granted by fate, but a result of deliberate conditioning, a daily practice of mastery over emotion, impulse, and reaction. The samurai cultivated kokoro, the heart spirit, through rituals that sharpened awareness and centered the soul. They faced the elements with stillness, meditated under waterfalls, and rehearsed battles hundreds of times in their minds, so that fear had no room to grow. In this furnace they learned to separate pain from panic, challenge from chaos, and pressure from collapse. The unyielding mind does not reject hardship, it absorbs it and transforms it into clarity. When the world becomes noisy, the inner furnace becomes the one place where truth can be heard. It is in this internal fire that warriors confront their deepest insecurities and reshape them with intention. This is not a momentary surge of motivation or a temporary burst of strength. It is a continuous forging process. Every day becomes a training ground, every decision a strike of the hammer, every struggle a fresh flame rising to temper the steel of who you are becoming. The unyielding mind also requires an intimate understanding of one's limits, not as boundaries to retreat from, but as temporary edges meant to be expanded. The samurai did not expect ease. They embraced resistance, knowing it was the only true path to transformation. In the inner furnace, comfort melts away, revealing what is essential. Fear loses its power when faced repeatedly. Doubt shrinks when confronted with disciplined action. Weakness turns into wisdom when examined with honesty. The samurai treated their mindset as a living weapon, sharpening it with every experience, every scar, every lesson learned from the battlefield of life. To cultivate an unyielding mind today, you must challenge your assumptions, question your excuses, and refuse to let fatigue or frustration dictate your path. You must become aware of the stories you tell yourself, replacing the language of limitation with the language of possibility. The inner furnace does not allow self-pity. It expects self-mastery. It is a space where excuses burn away, leaving only responsibility and potential. Through deliberate hardship, you discover that resilience is not something you reach for, it becomes something you embody. Above all, the unyielding mind is a commitment to remain unmoved in the presence of adversity, to hold steady when everything around you begins to shake. The samurai believed that a person who cannot control their mind cannot control their destiny, and so they built resilience into their identity. Their inner furnace taught them that perseverance is not a reaction, it is a decision, made long before the challenge arrives. When you refuse to surrender to pressure, you ignite a fire that grows stronger with every test. This mindset does not eliminate fear, it teaches you to act despite it. It does not remove obstacles, it empowers you to push through them with conviction. In a world filled with distraction and mental fragility, the unyielding mind becomes a rare and powerful weapon. It allows you to stay disciplined when the path feels long, focused when the world demands your attention, and courageous when uncertainty surrounds you, and when setbacks strike, because they will. You do not crumble. You rise, you adapt, you continue forward, knowing that each challenge is simply another moment in the furnace, shaping you into a warrior who does not break. Endurance through discipline is the core of the samurai's existence, for without discipline the body weakens, the mind wanders, and the spirit collapses under pressure. The path of Bushido teaches that strength is not found in sudden moments of courage, but in the quiet, repetitive actions that shape a warrior's character long before the world tests them. Discipline is the invisible thread that holds the warrior's life together, binding purpose to action and intention to outcome. It means rising before the sun even when the body aches, practicing techniques until they become instinct, and honoring commitments even when no one is watching. Endurance is not born from comfort, it is carved from the struggle of doing what must be done, not what feels easy. Every day, the samurai chose discipline because they knew that greatness is not built in one dramatic moment, but through countless consistent steps. They trained their minds to resist distraction, their emotions to remain steady, and their willpower to stay unbroken. On the path of Bushido, discipline is not punishment, it is liberation. It is the key that unlocks the ability to endure beyond normal limits, allowing the warrior to stand firm when others fall away. To walk the path of Bushido is to understand that discipline must govern every part of life, not only moments of training or battle. The samurai practiced seigyo, self-retrol, believing that mastery of the outer world begins with mastery of the inner world. They disciplined their thoughts, refusing to let negativity grow roots. They disciplined their speech, choosing words that aligned with honor. They disciplined their actions, ensuring each moment reflected their purpose. Endurance develops when discipline becomes a lifestyle rather than an occasional effort. It strengthens the mind to withstand frustration, strengthens the heart to withstand doubt, and strengthens the body to withstand fatigue. Modern life offers countless distractions and temptations designed to weaken focus, but the warrior who follows Bushido sees them for what they are, tests of resolve. Every time you choose discipline over ease, you expand your capacity for endurance. Every time you do the hard thing instead of the comfortable thing, you reinforce your identity. Discipline teaches you that suffering is temporary, but strength is permanent. It turns obstacles into training grounds, challenges into opportunities, and setbacks into fuel for growth. Endurance through discipline also requires patience, a virtue deeply embedded in the philosophy of Bushido. The samurai understood that true progress cannot be rushed, and the desire for quick results often destroys long-term greatness. They trained for years before ever stepping on the battlefield, repeating movements thousands of times until every strike, step, and breath harmonized with purpose. This slow, deliberate forging of skill built a level of endurance that allowed them to remain calm in chaos and unwavering in danger. Today, impatience is one of the greatest enemies of discipline. People want transformation without effort, results without sacrifice, strength without struggle. But Bushido teaches that the path is long, and only those who walk it with unwavering consistency reach the summit. When you discipline yourself to stay the course, even when progress feels invisible, you develop an endurance that outlives temporary motivation. The patient warrior understands that every moment of effort compounds, every disciplined action builds momentum, and every day of commitment forges a stronger version of themselves. Endurance is not about pushing recklessly. It is about staying steady, persistent, and loyal to your mission until the breakthrough comes. Ultimately, the path of Bushido teaches that endurance is a spiritual practice as much as a physical or mental one. The samurai believed that discipline connected them to something greater than themselves. A code, a purpose, a legacy. Their endurance was rooted in meaning, not mere effort. When a warrior understands why they endure, the how becomes unstoppable. Discipline becomes the sacred promise you make to your future self. To rise when you want to rest. To continue when excuses appear. To stay committed even when the world tries to break your rhythm. This commitment transforms discipline into a source of power rather than restriction. It sharpens clarity, strengthens determination, and fuels the spirit with quiet confidence. Through discipline, the samurai learned to endure pain without bitterness, hardship without hopelessness, and failure without surrender. On this path, endurance is not just surviving difficulty. It is using difficulty as a tool to sharpen identity. The modern warrior who embraces Bushido discovers that discipline builds resilience. Resilience builds endurance, and endurance builds a version of themselves capable of facing any storm without breaking. Relentless forward motion is the pulse of the warrior's journey, the driving force that refuses to let the spirit stagnate or retreat. The samurai believed that stopping was more dangerous than failing, for stillness invites fear, doubt, and hesitation to take root. Motion, no matter how small, keeps the mind sharp and the spirit alive. Like a blade constantly drawn across the whetstone, progress requires continuous contact with challenge. The blade that never breaks is not the one that avoids pressure, but the one that endures endless sharpening, endless impact, endless trials. Relentless forward motion means taking the next step even when the path is unclear, pushing forward even when strength fades, and maintaining momentum when the world demands surrender. It is not about speed, it is about persistence. The samurai moved with purpose, knowing that the worst enemy of mastery was stagnation. To keep moving is to stay alive, in every sense, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Motion keeps the flame burning, prevents the mind from collapsing under uncertainty, and turns obstacles into stepping stones. The warrior who refuses to stop discovers that resilience grows with every step, and the blade of their spirit becomes impossible to break. For the samurai, forward motion was not reckless lunging, but a disciplined rhythm, a steady advance rooted in awareness and intention. They combined zanshin, a state of vigilant presence, with relentless drive, ensuring their momentum was guided, not chaotic. This balance allowed them to push forward without losing clarity or direction. In battle, hesitation meant death, but so did panic-driven movement. The true warrior learned to progress with controlled intensity, trusting that each step illuminated the next. Relentless forward motion also meant accepting imperfection. The samurai understood that waiting for perfect conditions leads to paralysis, and perfection is a myth that delays transformation. Action itself is the teacher. Every attempt refines skill, every failure imparts wisdom, every struggle deepens grit. When you embrace motion, you eliminate the fear of mistakes, because you know you will keep moving past them. The blade that never breaks survives because it adapts, shifts, and continues cutting its path through resistance. Persistence becomes a habit, and motion becomes a way of life. Relentless forward motion also demands that the warrior refuses to be defined by setbacks, losses, or moments of weakness. The samurai lived by the belief that falling 7 times and rising 8 was the essence of strength. They did not glorify perfection, they glorified recovery. The blade that never breaks is not untouched. It is reforged again and again in the furnace of adversity. Each time life struck them down, they stood, recalibrated, and advanced with renewed purpose. This mindset transforms failure from something to fear into something to harness. When you keep moving forward, failures become fragments of metal added to your forging process, making your blade thicker, stronger, more formidable. Relentless motion teaches you that setbacks are temporary, but quitting is permanent. Every warrior experiences wounds, physical, emotional, spiritual, but healing happens through movement, not isolation. The samurai understood that even a single small step forward weakened the grip of despair. In a world where many freeze under pressure or retreat when challenged, the one who keeps advancing becomes unstoppable. Motion becomes a declaration of identity. I am not done. I am not defeated. I continue. At its core, relentless forward motion is an act of defiance against stagnation, fear, and the weight of the world. It is the warrior's oath to never allow circumstances to dictate their destiny. The blade that never breaks is forged from motion. It cannot corrode, cannot rust, cannot dull, because it is constantly being tested and tempered by effort. This forward drive is not loud or dramatic. Often, it is quiet, steady, and humble. It may be a single disciplined habit repeated daily, a single courageous decision made in silence, or a single refusal to surrender when exhaustion whispers lies. The samurai understood that strength is compounded through movement, that each step builds momentum, and that momentum eventually becomes unstoppable force. The warrior who embodies relentless forward motion gains a spirit that cannot be trapped by fear, slowed by doubt, or destroyed by hardship. Motion becomes identity, persistence becomes instinct, and resilience becomes nature. No matter how dark the road, how heavy the burden, or how uncertain the future, the warrior continues, because as long as you move, one step, one breath, one choice at a time, you remain unbreakable. In the end, remember this: every warrior is forged, not found. The strength you seek is not waiting in some distant future. It is already burning within you, waiting to be awakened through discipline, courage, and relentless forward motion. The ancient path of the samurai was never about perfection. It was about commitment. About rising each time the world tried to break them. About choosing purpose over fear and progress over hesitation. You hold that same power. Every setback you faced, every storm you've survived, every moment you refuse to surrender has already shaped you into someone stronger than yesterday. The forbidden samurai technique to never give up is not a secret. It is a way of living, a code that transforms ordinary souls into warriors of unshakable spirit. So carry this fire with you. Let your mind stay firm, your discipline stay sharp, and your steps remain unbroken. Stand tall in the presence of adversity, and remember that the world cannot defeat the one who refuses to stop. Today, you rise with a blade that never breaks. Thank you for walking this path with honor, strength, and heart. Your journey continues. Go forward, warrior.